YouTube. And now I'm going to Facebook.
My boy is hitting me right now. Look at this action as we are live.
Nice. I love it.
Working for the city, I know a few people. So one of the guys just got a supervisor spot, so he literally drives around the city all day. And he's like, Keeble, I'll toss you some stuff. And he's been like, he's after it. Yeah,
that's your money guy right there.
Yeah, I should have been reached out to him, but it just, yeah, he's somewhere right now.
I'm actually gonna spill one of my secrets. What I did, how I did in my first deal, that might help you then too.
Wait, we're gonna ask that question.
I know. That's the rumor.
Save the good stuff.
Yeah. He's saving it, but he's excited to share it. I found the binder, the actual paperwork from 20 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
Wow. Yeah, that is crazy. I couldn't find my paperwork from a couple months ago.
We should be loading on. We should be going live on Facebook in
I'm gonna start a watch
about
party.
5 seconds.
Oh, cool.
Put the title in. So if you wanted to do a watch party, Joe or Jen, to your Facebook,
yep,
you could. Okay, so we're live now on Facebook.
Look at you.
And gotta play your theme song. Hang on, I gotta play the theme song.
I heard him playing something. I'm wondering if that's it.
There
Oh,
you go.
yeah.
Woohoo!
There we go. I got one started.
All right, YouTube and Facebook family. This is Earl McCray with the Three Amigos on doing a Facebook Live, and we're super excited for episode 3 of Wealth Through Wholesaling. Today we have the privilege and the pleasure of speaking with Joe and Jennifer, doing big things. So John, I said on our promo video that you guys were the king or queen of creative finance here in Rochester.
Well, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Thanks for having us, first of all, guys.
So excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're just going to get the promo slide out of the way and just put it in our regular screen so we can have just a super interesting discussion about how life has been for you guys. So I'll get started.
Whirlwind, that's for sure. We're so happy that we had the chance to meet you because that wouldn't have happened 5 months ago.
Right.
Wow, the power of networking. So Keeble's wife, as you guys know, Jennifer, I just had a mental breakdown, but she's finishing up her realtor's license, and she just she found the networking group online, and Keeble says, "Hey guys, here's what we're doing tomorrow morning," and I think it was like at 7 or 8 o'clock that night. I'm not sure, but pretty much Keeble's never wrong when he makes up his mind around stuff relative to the business. So we had to show up. And we're glad that we did. We got a chance to meet you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
So super cool. So I got the first 2 questions, I guess.
That's definitely part of the success is just your network. I mean, you're already getting on it right off the bat. Meeting good people in the industry is helpful.
Taking that first step, which is usually the hardest for most people because you don't know what's on the other side. But, kudos for you guys to hop in there and, just come on in. And we just started going there too. He was able to make it one other time previously, but normally with the kids going to school, that wasn't an option. It was way too early, and sitters and all that weren't a thing for me. But now once we get into be able to explaining our story here, we're able to be able to do that more often.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. So my first question is, tell us a little bit about your origin story. How did you guys fall into real estate?
Well, I guess it was my father was a landlord growing up, and I watched them go through the process, and I watched them struggle. I watched them do well at times, but overall, it was a lot. But I kind of love the fact is you're helping people get into housing, and that was always attracted me to it. But then how I got into the investing part, I just kind of got lucky. I was hanging out with one of my friends 20 years ago, almost to the day. It was like around August, and he was going through his room and found this infomercial that he and his mother bought on television at some late night infomercial thing when the guy's talking about buy houses, no money, all this other great, wonderful stuff. So they spent, which in 20 years ago, they spent $300, which was a lot of money back then.
Mm-hmm.
Still is today, but back then it was even more. And he never opened it.
Wow.
His mom or him, they bought it. It came to the house. They never opened it. It just sat in his closet collecting dust. So I asked him if I could borrow it. So just to show you how long ago it is, these were on cassette tapes. These were on VCR tapes. And then there was a book. And I still have all of them.
Oh, my goodness.
But it walks you through wholesaling. And once I thought of wholesaling and that you didn't need any money and you didn't need any credit, and you didn't need any banks, that was all up my alley because I had no money, I had bad credit, and a bank wouldn't even want me to walk through the front door at that point in my life. So that attracted me right off the bat. And that's kind of way after reading that, it kind of got me hook, line, and sinker until I want to do this. I watched the cassette or the VCR tapes. I listened to the cassette tapes in my car when I was driving, and then the book, I read it. And I'm not a big reader. I listen to a lot of audio, but this was a book. You got to really read this thing. There's a lot in there. And I did it all, and it works. I mean, a couple months later, I had a house under contract.
Wow. And what was the program? Do you remember back? It's probably a while.
I got to dig it out of the archive. It was some information, it was just a wholesaling course is all it was.
Wow.
And they teach you how to wholesale houses and without using money. And I got to dig it out of the basement somewhere. I'm sure I still have it here.
So this is the perfect segue to my second question. So yeah. Has your real estate education, has it been primarily informal, or did you actually go through a formal mentorship opportunity at some point in your journey?
I mean, I've had several mentors throughout my journey that have helped tremendously. Just other guys that I've met through networking who around the country, really, there's not a lot of folks here in the Rochester area. And I think that's why I click so well here, because these folks are in Maryland, Florida, they're in Wyoming. They're all around the country, but these are guys who are, even Chicago, they're all doing it at a pretty high level. And that's been helpful just to kind of get an idea of what is possibility. What can you accomplish? And I think that's huge. But I've been doing this for 20 years. I've spent on my education. The number I could buy a house with how much I've spent on my education, a nice house too. So I never went to college because I couldn't find a field that I knew I wanted to do the rest of my life. And then I kind of fell into real estate and basically spent a college worth of money to learn all the different ways of real estate investing, not just one way. And then not only that, how to get really good at it.
Whoa. My son's a student at McQuaid right now, and when my wife hears me talk about him, he graduates this year. So when I tell her that, I'm not sure if we're going to send him to college right away. Right. Maybe we'll just have him stay home and mature for a year and just work with the team. And I love my wife, but she's very traditional in her mindset. And being an entrepreneur is not in her experience set. So it's really interesting to hear that you didn't go the college route and look at you now.
But I did, and I'm not even using that education. You know, I went to undergrad and then I got my master's at Rockport for teaching, and I walked away and I loved it, but for now and where we want to take our life, I don't need that education. And, you know, I was kind of like your wife, honestly. I got to say that real quick. I was very much, the kids have to go to college, they're going to do this. And then once we started growing our business, I realized, what if they don't want to go and fit in a box, and there's not a course or study that they're really into? And what if they, you know, spend thousands of dollars and then just come back? You know, it just, you got to do what's right for you and your children. But I opened up to that idea, realizing that college may not be for our kids.
Awesome. All right, well, I'm going to go to mute, and I'm going to pass the questions over to Kiva.
Okay.
Hi guys, thanks again for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
So I want to ask this for you both. In from where you began 20 years ago to now as obviously a married couple, parents and stuff, what type of sacrifices had to be made to get your business to where? I mean, obviously lots, but just a few of the ones like off the top of the head.
So the most valuable one is time. That's the most valuable asset you could have overall, is your time. And
that's why I thank you for your time right away.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I'm understanding of that.
But I think that time is one of your sacrifices, because it's not just when you're going through the process. There's a lot of education. There's a lot of early mornings, super late nights, us up super late where everybody else is sleeping or out with their, you know, significant other doing something fun, and we're sitting there grinding it out, working. And we're a little different, but I mean, my wife's birthday, we go to the beach and I'm on Zoom calls.
He's training, yeah.
And I'm training our guys, and like.
But that's where I had to really grow up quickly and realize that it's for the greater good. And even if we're on vacation or we're on a fancy date night or at the beach for my birthday or anniversary for that matter, it's just in his nature, and it's what really drives him and makes him happy. He loves working, but then also, you know, it's providing for our family. So I think as my role, I've really kind of embraced that. I tend to the children, and I'm really doing a lot of the cooking and the cleaning while he is, you know, picking up the phone and talking to sellers and really, you know, putting it out there, where I kind of I take my role seriously there. And when I can, I jump in, because we do have 2 little kids, and it's very important to try to balance. There's no balance, but you try your very best to, especially now with the situation with COVID, you just do your best. And communication is really huge, making sure that we both know what the expectation is for the next day. What's the week look like? You know, we made sure we had this all planned out, what time we were coming on here with you guys, and, you know, having the kids situated. So it's just a lot of communication, helps with the feelings getting hurt with any sacrifices that may come. But as an entrepreneur, you know that it's not a normal way of life.
Absolutely. Teamwork makes the dream work, right?
And don't let her be modest. She's a beast. The girl puts in work. Okay.
Yeah.
She definitely does. So yeah, and then you're absolutely right, for sure. You hit her in the head.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely know that per se myself, because I wouldn't have been able to walk off my job essentially without the foundational support of my wife Jessica, who now is taking to the realtor's exam, because I'm not a computer guy. That's not my thing, and she's been here grinding it out every day with it, and I appreciate it, because once she's a realtor, I'm a realtor now. So
you got access.
I mean, so, you know, I definitely appreciate you guys sharing that aspect of it for us. Second, I want to ask you, so starting when you did, how many deals did you make around about in your first year? Was it 1, was it 5, or was it like a slow grind?
Mine was really slow, because what happened was I spent my 21st birthday, which is just a year before this, in the hospital. I have Crohn's disease. And so at the time, I just finished up with my summer job. I read this information book. I found a house. I got it under contract. I made a heck of a paycheck off that house. I had a second deal locked up where I was going to make another 5-figure paycheck pretty easy. And I goofed it up by having my schedule off by 1 day, where if I just accepted the deal the day before, it would have fallen into place, and it didn't. And that's what got me into getting a JOB. You know, I always call them a job, but just over broke is what it stands for. But I got a job because I needed health insurance, and I wanted to make sure I had something for myself. And then after that, I learned from that first experience. And then a bunch of years later, I ended up buying a house, and then it just started multiplying.
Awesome. Thanks for that. Ambrose?
Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, good. Thanks for joining us again. It's really a pleasure.
Our pleasure.
Absolutely.
So I have two questions, right? So my first question is that how many offers per contract do you guys receive on the average?
How many offers do we?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, how many offers per contract, basically?
Oh, how many offers? So we actually have a really unique way of buying houses that we don't make the offer, the seller makes us the offer. So I really don't have to put out offers on the house.
Yeah.
And I don't. It's a little different. It's odd to some to ask that, but our sellers make us the offers. And we could buy houses for full price. So a lot of times what we need to do is we need to ask the seller, like, where do you need to be? And sometimes you might put an offer so low, they owe more than that. Or there's other reasons behind it. So really, we try to find out where they need to be, and they make us the offer.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you know, being new to the business, a lot of people don't really understand the different fields that's in a business. Some people just think it's just wholesaling, you know.
Yeah.
It's definitely understanding that you guys have that. But also, if you guys were to have a deal, right, and it doesn't go through, what do you guys do with the dead lease?
So I guess it depends on what makes it not go through. And there's various numbers of reasons why maybe we couldn't put an offer together. Maybe a deal didn't go through because they're going to list it with a realtor instead. Maybe they want to sell it sooner than later or later than sooner. I mean, there's so many different reasons. And we just keep following up with them. That's the biggest key, is you just got to do follow-up, because maybe what works today or doesn't work today, it might work a few months later, just because time and situation or circumstances change everything.
Right.
And there could be some times where maybe that it's just not time for them to sell yet. And I know a lot of folks struggle with that, because your home is usually one of your most prideful things. And sometimes letting go is more than just a financial, but it's an emotional thing. And sometimes you're not ready to cross both of those bridges. So some folks just need time, and that's okay. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. And I understand that completely.
Thank you. I'll let Errol take over.
Yeah.
So,
good question.
So Joe, you talked about this a little bit earlier, but if you could just circle back to this question. So a lot of times people, they just need belief before they're ready to go all in. So tell us a little bit more about your first deal, how it kind of came to you, and whatever challenges or what other missteps you made just getting it to the finish line.
Well, I had a lot of obstacles on that first deal. I mean, first of all, I learned how to do it off a course that comes off television, late night infomercial. So you got to understand, I've got that already going for me, or against me if you want to use it. I didn't really know anybody here that did real estate investing. The internet wasn't popular in 2000 like it is now, where they have all these Facebook groups and all this. There wasn't that then. So really, you were letting you're spending time behind the car, but I got lucky. I actually had an idea. And so if you know folks who work, like if you work in the city, for an example, I reached out to the code enforcement of one of the towns. I said, don't you have some junk house that's just giving you a headache? And he was like, you know what? As a matter of fact, I do. And tells me about an address, tells me about a situation. There's two partners who own this property, and they're basically fighting with each other. And one lives in one state, the other one lives in the complete opposite side of the country. And the house has been broken into, gutters ripped off, power's off, basement flooded, mold everywhere. In your typical, wholesale deal. I mean, it was a rough junker house, and it was beautiful at one point, and you could see it, just somebody let it go. So just by having a connection of asking the right person the right question, so
sounds like another deal coming in.
Yeah. So with that being the case, I think just asking the right questions and never fearing to ask, because so many people, like, I would never dare call them. Well, I mean, what are they going to do? Hang up the phone on me? Okay, on to the next one. Yeah. And so many of them did. That was the point. And after I get the house, I talked to the one seller. The one partner wasn't cooperating, wouldn't even talk to us. So I had to cross that bridge, not give up, had the house under contract, finally put all of it together, close it. And so my first house, I owned it for half an hour. So everybody has their first house. I bought my first house. I moved in with family. Mine was on for a half an hour. I never lived in it. And that was probably my favorite house because that was the one that got me to everywhere else I've been.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about when you guys, decided that you guys were in a bit of a rhythm and you wanted to kind of start scaling. What pieces came together first, and what was that progression like?
So I guess for us, what really it boiled down to.
It's a lot. I feel like there's been different steps. So I met Joe in 2008 in January, and by the end of August, he was putting in an offer for our first fixer-upper, like the shows weren't out yet. None of this was trendy. I'm like, what is this guy doing? Like he has a good full-time job and I'm a teacher, and why are we going to buy this yucky house? Like I had no idea what we were getting into. And it was just one house at a time for a little bit. I was just reading, I have a blog, and I said in 2016, we had 4 properties and we were landlords and we were just renting. And that was beginning to be a little much to juggle with 2 little babies at home and him working full time. So at that point, we started looking into switching our business model a little bit, I would say. The following year, 2017, we decided to start
go rent to own.
Rent to own.
Yeah, and it was around that time is where we really took it to another level, because at the time I did have a great job and I had it for a very long time, making very good money, and I enjoyed what I did. I was in the finance office for a car dealership, and with that job you get to meet wonderful people, you learn credit reports. So I mean, I've seen tens of thousands of credit reports. You work with banks and you put kind of 2 and 2 together. So I got to meet a lot of wonderful people at banks all around the country, but a lot of them locally. So you get to meet those people and they're wonderful folks. So I enjoyed that job, and then we started slowly, surely getting one house here. And I did it when we found the right deals in the right areas that we liked. And at the time, 2008, when the economy took a crash, you were able to get some really good deals, which we did. And then 2017, we went full-blown growth mode. And
yeah, all of our tenants that were just regular tenants ended up moving out, and that's when we went into finding tenant buyers, and that really changed the game for us. And at that point, we started having to figure out like an answering service to help us stream some of the calls from the buyers coming in and getting more of a presence online. That's when we created our first Facebook page, 5A5 Rent to Own. And from there, it's really exploded in the last 5 months for sure, I would say.
Yeah, and that's really been, I mean, we've hired 3 folks now to help us out.
When you're spinning your wheels, to answer your question, you're spinning your wheels and you literally don't know what to do next because you have way too much to do. You need to figure, your time is your best, and only best resource. So you need to figure out what's worth your time and what's worth hiring out for. And that's really how we knew it was time.
So kind of take us through what was your first, what did you guys reach out for first in terms of helping you ease the load? Was it a VA? Was it an assistant that handled transactions? Kind of take us through that.
So we've had just about every type of assistant possible, from a digital VA to a real VA. So now we don't have any of that anymore. We just hired team members to work with us, and they're going to do whatever kind of duties we'll have for them. Working with sellers, working with buyers. The buyers on our end, rent to own, we do get a lot of inquiries. I mean, for one house, you might get close to 1,000 inquiries before you find the right tenant buyer who has the right qualifications for that, because we don't need bank qualifications for our program, but you're going to have a job. You're going to have a down payment. There are those requirements. And then we could work on your credit over time. We could help get you into the first-time buyer program if you could qualify, and get you through some of the steps to get you that mortgage. And we give you the time to do that while you're already living in the home. And that's why folks love it. And they also help us with the sellers, because we do have a lot of folks who reach out to us who want to sell a home. So they're just collecting, name, information, address, just so give us a little bit of feedback on the situation, really what it is. And then Jen and I are the ones that decide on the deals and looking at the numbers. We specialize in it. We've been both doing it for so long. There's really hard to have somebody who hasn't done it for as long as us, because I noticed things just standing at the curb, because when I was a little boy, I was that little boy, like my 5-year-old son is, staring at a house at the curb, looking at things and instantly seeing there's things popping up there, So it's hard to just hire somebody to do that. And that's something you develop, I think, over time, but it's fun teaching it.
That's amazing. I guess this is my last question, and I'm gonna pass it to Kivo. I know you kind of mentioned your father kind of got you your mind open to this. Was he able to kind of see how you progressed at this point? Was he around for that?
Yeah, they definitely watch what we do.
Okay.
And it's kind of cool. I went a different method. Instead of going for multifamily houses, I really love the single family homes. Because the one thing that you never have is nobody's fighting with the people upstairs, unless those are your kids that are upstairs and you're the parent downstairs. You really have that benefit of a single family home. And I've always really enjoyed that. And sometimes, I've lived in apartments myself, but the minute I moved into a house and I could turn up the music as loud as I want now, and, I could have friends over and all these wonderful things, that was the best feeling for me. And it really was. It was a changing event. You feel like you're a young man till you're a man now. And when that happened to me and I got my first house, I just remember what a great feeling that was. And same thing for Jen, where we could help other people with that process. It's a gift, and they're going to get to own it one day instead of just renting it, which is awesome.
Thanks a ton.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Okay, Jen, so you spoke about it a little bit, but I want you to get a little more into the adjustments that you guys made since COVID-19, because obviously you showed no signs of slowing down. So how is this possible?
It was possible because especially this guy, he is the silver lining. What's the good in any situation, and especially in a situation where this, shut down the world, essentially. It was a blessing for us, because one of our dreams, I have this journal I write in every day. Joe and I work full-time from home together. And I'm choked up. But this morning, actually, I opened up and I realized that came true. One of the things that I've written down for years now has happened because he had to leave his job due to COVID, and be able to stay away from the public, being on a immunosuppressing biologic, it's not good for him to be out there. So now we're able to take this from home, work here. Most of the time our neighbors see us outside sitting here probably thinking we're just goofing around, but we're working, and we can do so much virtually, having these kind of calls, talking to sellers, buyers, and really being able to build our dream life. And there is no slowing this one down. even if his health tries to, he's still bouncing back just like Superman.
There was a few months ago where I was in the hospital. I had my left lung collapse, and we were closing on a house that day. And it was literally the first day that the hospitals were allowing visitors. And she's in the lobby at noon with the paperwork to come up to the hospital. So in bed, I could sign the paperwork for this deal we did. As 2 days before that.
These sellers were going to move to North Carolina. And so I had to pack the kids up, meet my parents at a park, and they had masks on and everything, and drop the kids off. So I go to the attorneys, get the paperwork, take pictures with the seller, and then run all this up to him. And it was such a whirlwind, but you make it happen if you've got the why and the purpose behind it. And for us, it's to, live our dream life. We want to travel when this whole thing is over, and we want to really just live our best lives and help as many people along the way. And, you can't have any excuses stop you. You just keep going.
And those people were counting on us because they walked away with a really nice check, and they needed that for their move. So, they were counting on that happening. And no matter what, even if me being in the hospital, if I'm still alive, I'm still signing. Okay. And
I am now going to be on the paperwork.
She's going to be the signer. So just in case, but that's kind of the point. of just that is, people are counting on us, and you want to make sure that you're backing up what you say you're going to do and make no excuses why you don't. And that's when my old boss would always trick you. If you were late to work, he'd ask you why you late to work. And boy, if you came up with an excuse, he would light you up. There was no excuse.
It's bigger than you.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean,
and that's what's great about what we do. We're blessed for sure.
Right. Thanks for that answer. Lastly, I wanted to just ask, just in general, about the type of overhead you guys encounter with your marketing and getting your deals and whatnot. I know it probably varies because like you acquire deals and then you help people out with other stuff. And so I know it's like all over the place.
So our overhead, the nicest thing about what we do with our business is you're working from home. We're buying houses virtually.
Yeah.
So, I mean, talk about the lowest overhead you could possibly imagine. We've got a list of probably a good 20 ways to attract sellers and buyers. And I would say probably 3/4 of those are free or very little cost. And you're working from home. With us buying houses virtually, we're not even having to drive to the house. People are doing video walkthroughs of the properties. Yeah. We don't walk in until we've already bought them.
So you're not wasting money on gas. You're not wasting your time. We're doing a lot just from home, and that's really cut down a lot of the costs there.
Guys,
can I just say, doing that, you guys are ahead of the curve locally in our market. We're trying to get more investors to get in tune with using the video and pictures. I mean, because that's what they're doing in bigger cities, and it's working. It
makes
working.
sense.
Well, and that's kind of the point. Now with technology, you couldn't have done this 20 years ago when I first started. Yeah. And now technology is so good, and everybody's got a phone that you can't point it at a house and just walk me through it like I was standing right next to you. Turn the lights on, show me the good stuff, show me if there's any bad stuff. Let's get this done. And, I think we're going to be pretty close. And the nicest thing about it is, too, with COVID going on right now, we started this approach actually a long time ago. So we were already on the forefront before COVID even hit. The same way we show our properties, it's no different. We have it when we're showing a property, it's a hands-free. If somebody's going to go, we've already chatted with them. We can send them to the property. We let the neighbors know, hey, we've got somebody come over, because all the neighbors, we always meet them right away. They always love us. We give them our phone number. If you see anything fishy going on, please call us or the police.
Yeah.
And then at that point, we just send them a text saying, we've got somebody coming to take a look at the house. And so they know, and they're comfortable with it. And we let the folks know that, the neighbors won't bother you. They're great people, but they look out for the properties. So what we don't want to do is have an open house now where we've got 50 different people walking through the house all at once. It's just not a safe practice at this time, but we kind of already
We've only done it once,
ago.
And we still have a better turnout just doing it our way that we do it.
Yeah, it's been working out. And we've been doing it for a while now, so I like it a lot. So our overhead overall is very low. You can spend some money and some advertising if you want to. It's not necessary. It depends on where you are and where you want to go. But before you spend money on ads, there's a lot of other ways to do it without having to spend money or very little money. I mean, you got a big yellow sign right behind you. Stop foreclosure. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ambrose, go ahead.
Yeah, Ambrose got that sign. That's what I mean. Like those things.
Yeah.
You know what? It could be having one of those in your car as a magnet.
Yep.
It could be, somebody who lives at a good spot and you give them $20 and let you put one of those in the front lawn.
Yeah, I had one of my friends put one of my sign in his front lawn as well. So it's been happening. We've been receiving calls. So.
Yeah, and sometimes if you just see a house that has a good intersection, like, hey, do you mind if I throw this in your yard for $20?
We've done that.
I actually paid $50 to one other girl. So
I sent her in, and if it's a guy there, they usually are. They give us a better deal.
They're like, you want to do a what?
Yeah.
Selling a house.
Yeah, and sometimes it's just a realtor, and they'll just let her put a sign there, and it says one of these,
So, I have another question. One of my questions is that I know you guys been in the field for 20 years, and you guys have been having so much to learn, which is at this point, you guys have a lot that you have learned. So at this point, how have you been able to, hire the right coaching, like?
So I guess what I do is I kind of read a lot, tons of different authors. and you just kind of want to find what niche works well for you and kind of find who specializes in those fields. And, but we've done every kind of deal imaginable. So it wasn't like we specialized. We've done wholesale deals. I've done assignment deals. I've done the BRRRR method before anybody talked what a BRRRR method even is, which is then you buy it, you rehab it, blah, 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 refinance it, yada, yada, yada. We were landlords. We flipped houses. There's so many different things that we've done. And, that's why we kind of narrowed into that rent-to-own market the way we did. Because by far it's the best to do, because you're dealing with different folks now. These folks want to own it. And they're going to treat the property as such. And that was one of the biggest differences I noticed between renters and rent-to-own folks is when you've got some skin in the game, and that house behind you is going to be yours someday soon. You're going to treat it like gold compared to something that, it's a rental, just like your car. You have your own car versus a rental you just got from Enterprise. You can treat it maybe a little different. An Enterprise car might not be as clean as yours when you bring it back. Might not smell as fresh as yours does. So I think that's the kind of the same concept. We kind of put 2 and 2 together with that, and we just ran with it.
Yeah, it's very easy to be swayed, I feel like, in investing because everybody does something different. So it's good to try out a couple different, but then when you find one that you're like, yes, like this just clicks, find those people and stay with them and run with them and just absorb everything. We've heard before, you want to not be the smartest person in the room. Like you always want to be learning from somebody else. So we take that seriously, and we're constantly trying to put ourselves in situations where we're just learning, whether it's webinars or online or even in person.
Yeah, but even one of our mentors would say that what we're doing right now is completely crazy, that we shouldn't. Grant Cardone. If you ever watched Grant Cardone, but he was like, you don't want to buy a house. You want to own an apartment or live in apartments your whole life. And I guess probably that's situational depending on what city you're living in. He's never been
to Rochester either, though. If he could buy a single-family home for a weekend here,
he might look at it a little different.
He might.
Well, don't tell him, because then he'll come here and try to buy all the houses. But that's what he talks about, is buying big complexes and things like that. So he's a big, I love Grant. I've been following him forever. He was a car guy, just like I was, transitioned to real estate.
Very intense, 10X.
10X. And I couldn't believe he's like almost 60 years old.
He's 60.
60 years old. And an animal. So you got to take it with a grain of salt as well. Learn from these guys as much as you can, but maybe that's what works for him in his area, but what works well for us in this area. And that's kind of where you want to be like water, be flexible.
Oh, I like that.
Water, be
I like that.
Bruce Lee. That's Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
Great Bruce Lee. Good stuff, Joe.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
So much, and so much knowledge that you've been sharing with us. My other question is that, earlier you stated the type of sacrifices that you had to make, that you first had to make coming into the game. So is there any other, knowledge that you can give a couple who's basically just starting off as well? Is there any other thing that they could expect, coming to the game?
Geez, there's a lot.
I know, like my mind is thinking.
So I would say your first thing is, I was going to say, so what you want to do, and I'm going to drop some real good knowledge on you guys right now.
Some notes. If you're interested, here we go.
Yeah, take out your notebook, save this.
This is going to be mentor material later on. So
and I'll give you
some freebies here.
I'm going to give you I'm starting a mentoring group soon, which it's going to be a private group. I'm working on the details of that right now. It's going to be subscription based, but I will tell you that the information I could give is far beyond the actual cost of it. I will tell you a great one for an example is if you don't have an IRA right now, you need to get one, and you need to get a Roth IRA. So the difference is an IRA, that money has not been taxed yet. That means when you take it out, it will be taxed. A Roth IRA, that means
ROTH, Roth.
Yep, that one has been taxed already. So say you got your paycheck and you got $2,000, you put that into your IRA, your Roth IRA. So now once you take that money out, that's already been taxed once. You don't pay tax on that beyond 59 and a half years old. So the reason why I say is to do it and to get an IRA, a Roth IRA particularly, is because I have one, we have one. It's a self-directing IRA. A lot of people don't know this. I could use our money that's in our IRA, and I could buy property with that, which we're doing right now. And I'll give you an example of a land deal. So it's not always about buying houses. We found a deal where it's in Hilton. I won't go into the particulars, but we're going to be buying it for, say, around $10,000. It's actually less than that. So I'm taking that out of my IRA, and I'm not cashing that IRA in. You're not taking that out and get penalized on it. I have what's called a self-directing IRA, and there's only a handful of places around the country that will let you do this, but it's totally legal. IRS knows what's going on, so you're not doing anything shady by doing this. But what happens is, it's no different than if I got that IRA and bought Apple stock, and Apple stock went up, okay? But the difference is with this, you could buy property. You could buy lots of things. It's not just property too. There's a whole list of stuff that you could buy, and I could give you guys the information if you're interested. But now I buy this property for $10,000 out of our IRA. That'll cover the cost of the property, closing costs, some taxes. Now, say I list that property for $30,000, because it's probably worth that. I list that for $30,000. I pay a realtor 6% for selling it, so that's not much. I have some closing costs, so say I net somewhere $26,000. That $26,000, if I had that, goes back into my IRA, tax-free for the rest of my life. So what happens is, if you profited, say $16,000 in that deal, you would have to pay a third of that to capital gains tax. So in $16,000, you'd have to pay about $5,500 out of pocket, gone. So you made 16 grand. You're not keeping 16 grand. You're going to be keeping, $10,000 roughly. Where now, if you do it into a self-directing IRA, that 16 goes back in there tax-free. So now you just got a $10,000 investment, 8 grand really, but say $10,000 investment. You just turned into 26 grand with flipping a deal that took no time at all. Now, I'm going to drop some extra knowledge on you guys. Say you have a wholesale deal, and you guys are my wholesaling buddies, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a taste of it. So say you have an IRA, and you have $500 in there, right? And I got a deal under contract for a wholesale. I'm going to buy this house for $40,000, and I gave them a $100 deposit that was out of my IRA. And I flip that to somebody else, and I do that contract. All the profit goes back into there tax-free. So if I make a $10,000 profit with a $100 deposit, what's your return on your money there?
That's pretty good.
And there's no tax on that.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
So for my wholesale guys out there, this is a key to be using. It could work in a Roth IRA. It could work in a traditional IRA. But the Roth has already been taxed once. That means it's never going to be taxed again. Your traditional IRA, if you make it into $1 million, when you siphon it out when you're older, they're still going to tax you on it. So if you're going to build one up and you don't have either right now, build the Roth IRA. Because what happens is, once you start making too much money, guys, you don't qualify for them anymore. So get one now, and if you have one now, you'll have one for the rest of your life. So
get one while you're broke.
It's not even broke. You got to make what is it? If you're married, I think it's under 180 grand or 200 grand a year. But if you make 250, you don't qualify for it. You could get them, but it's tricky. But you can still get them. But those are some things you're going to want to do, because your money is going to multiply much quicker tax-free than it is if you pay tax on it. And so therefore, when you're building your wealth, there's lots of ways to do it, guys, but the success is in the details. And these are the things I'll be going over in my mentoring. Is it's not just flipping a deal or doing the BRRRR method, or it's like, how am I going to maximize this opportunity? Because I only get so many per year, so many per month. If I'm going to make 10,000, how can I really keep 10 grand versus keeping 6 grand? That's the big difference. And I don't want to give a third away if I don't have to. I mean, that's just, government's your partner on that deal, whether you like it or not. Right. And if you already have other partners to contend with, why have one more if you could avoid it? And sometimes it could be something as simple as a $100 deposit. So you don't need to have 50,000 in there in order to make real estate deals work, although it's helpful.
It definitely is.
And you can get there pretty quick doing that way too.
Yeah.
Right. Being that we are partners, we definitely need to save as much as we can. So it makes
Yeah,
sense.
absolutely. Yeah, so that's one of the big tips I would really truly recommend for everybody is and once again, I will part of this group. Like I said, I'll be starting up soon. It will be getting to many layers of other ways to do it too, and it's even just how to do taxes. I mean, how to when you're buying versus selling, and I mean, there's some crazy stuff in there. But that's part of the 20 years where, I mean, I've learned from guys who are on private jets, multiple private jets. And once you start following what they're doing, because I'm like, I want one day. I know she would like one. And you never know. You work your heart out and you bust your tail. Grant Cardone's 60. You know what I mean? He's not 25 on a private jet. The guy's 60 and he's got one. So, okay, if that's the case, and I have to wait till I'm 60, because if it's going to be that long, then okay, she won't mind. She's still younger than me, so she'll be in her 50s.
Yo, you are dropping some bombs. Literally, some of the tricks and tips that we talk about. That you guys who are watching us from YouTube, definitely drop a like, drop a share in the comment box if you guys are getting any value from these two. Show us some love. My last question before we let you guys out of here is so there, Jen, every time you post something on social media, I'm giving it a like. How did you guys, what was the creative juices that allowed you guys to brand as well as you have? Tell us a little bit about that.
That's all her.
I think it's just, I enjoy social media and I feel like it can be a blessing or a curse, like most things. And so I really just kind of, the people that are successful with it, I really try to just follow them and see how they present themselves and whatnot. And I've done a lot of little mini courses that, freebies people have offered. I started a blog back in, 2011, I think. So here and there, I've just always been into like the internet and whatnot. And I just feel like it's such a creative outlet for me. And so I don't really blog so much anymore, but I've really turned to using it for our posts. And people go to Facebook and Instagram and YouTube for a couple of different reasons. And really it's to be educated, to be entertained. They just want to kind of escape from whatever their life hectic, dishes, dogs, kids. And so you want to provide for them. And so, and by all means, my goodness, everybody's on their phones right now because we're not really doing much else. And so here is a perfect opportunity if you do have a business to promote yourself online and share your story along with people. Because you just never know who's watching. The person that is ready to pack up and move to North Carolina but needs to sell his house found us via Facebook, and other folks that are wanting to dabble into real estate. And that's how we found some of the guys who work for us because they really were intrigued by what I was posting. So I have fun and I share personal things, kids and recipes, and I like fashion, but also I want to educate people. Like, you could do this too. It's not secret. It's just takes a lot of time and dedication. And just anytime you see anything about social media in any class or whatnot, just hop in if it's free. I mean, I have my email's full of subscriptions for learning like the newest tip and trick, and videos are just the way to go now. So I know so many folks are afraid to push record. Just go live, and be you, because that's all you know how to be and all you have to be, really.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're gonna get ready to let you guys out of here. Again, we appreciate your time. Joe, can you just one time give all your information, time, dates, and everything, how people can get in touch with you for this mentor class that you're talking about?
So I just grabbed the name. I have a Facebook page I haven't even put up yet. Like,
you're not ready yet.
It's not ready yet. No. And
all right.
Although I will drop it, it's joecashflows.com. Same thing on Facebook. I'm gonna have a private group. I'm gonna have a page. Anybody could join the page. If you're in the group, we gotta chat first about that because I want to keep the group number down, because that's where we're gonna get on live Zoom every 2 weeks. We're gonna talk about the business. We're gonna talk about deals that you currently have. We're gonna check to see what you're following through with and what your course of next week is. I mean, we're gonna really grind out a business for these folks who want to take their level to another, to another dimension and really just push it a little bit more. And it's all easy stuff. And that's it's easy because I know how to do it. And if I could just show other people how to do it, it'll be easy for them too. That trick I just taught you is just seldom known, but not uncommon. People are doing it. But the problem is it's all these wealthy people who don't trickle it down to everybody else to know about it. So back when I'm doing all these deals, I wish I knew I could have saved all that taxes.
Yeah.
I wish I could have done. I wish somebody would just say, hey, here, you can do that. And so the fact that you can learn all that I have over these years from these people, and I've spent a lot of money on their stuff, a lot of them too. If you could do it and it's something that's super affordable for everybody else, it's going to be great. But I want to keep that level down, because what I don't want to have is where I have 100 people in the group and we never get on more than just Q&A, although that will be good. Maybe we'll spend the hours, but
yeah,
it'll be great. It really will.
But we're thinking about doing a free, like Wednesday nights. We're not sure where. We might do it on Instagram, might be Facebook, but just like a freebie, just kind of go live, chit chat a little bit. But then if you're looking for something more in depth, definitely the mentoring program would be something for you too.
Yeah, for sure.
Great. Thank you.
So my last question, right, is for people who's basically watching right now and they want to, jump in and just start a deal right now, but they have no money, no connections, they don't know anybody that's really in the game like that. What can they do, if they want to make a deal within 30 days, if they, just to come up with something?
Find a house. So I'll tell you a very good example. We have that happen all the time. People reach out to us all the time. I say, guys, if you guys find us a for sale by owner and you send us that lead and we buy it, we'll pay you $1,000. So if you don't got any money, you don't know where to start, that's just share this share the video we're doing right now. Share my post. If you saw a house and you drove by it and there's a for sale by owner sign in the driveway, and you could take a picture of that house and that sale sign and the street with the phone number, and you send that through us through any means possible, phone numbers, through Facebook at 585 Rent to Own, or Jen Buys 585, because we've got both of those. But send that over, and if we buy it, we're going to pay you $1,000. So there's a good way to get started.
And tell them to go on, create an Instagram, create a YouTube, create a Facebook. It's all free. And once you put it out there and you make a graphic or even just a post, or you go live and you share, I'm looking to buy houses, and you just start networking that way too. I mean, you've got to put yourself out there. Nothing's just going to come and fall on top of your lap. You have to go after and get it.
Well, and it's that, guerrilla marketing where you are reaching out to all your friends.
Yeah.
And say, hey, like my page. Hey guys, guess what? Do you know anybody who wants to sell a house soon? Text all your friends, text your family, even the ones you haven't talked to in a while. Both, you know what I mean? And let them know just what you do. Because I'll tell you what, you don't want to be one of those people who I could have been great, but I didn't take the right steps. If I'm going to be great, I'm going to make sure I bust my hump and I left no rock unturned, and I'm going to let the world know. My first job was I sold perfume and cologne out of the trunk of my car, traveling around the country. I would drive around with 200-300 bottles of cologne, and especially you guys, I'd see you at a gas station or something where I'm out there pumping gas, like, hey guys, you wear cologne? Come check this out. And I'd pop open the trunk of my car and I'd show you a price list and I'd give you a heck of a deal on that. So, and I've done that from anywhere from Texas and to Maine and back and everywhere in between, Tennessee, Louisiana. I mean, you name the state, I've been selling perfume and cologne out of the trunk of my car in that state, chances are. So that being the case, I was never afraid to kind of put myself out there.
Yeah.
And you got to do that. You got to be able to promote it. And now there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Snapchat, and all these other crazy ones that you can put yourself out there. Blow yourself up. Mm-hmm. Tell everybody what you do. Start networking with the people that are close to you. Start finding other people that are in the field that are either online, virtually like this. And it's never been easier now. And
read the personal development books, because you got to stay mentally strong, because that's really what it boils down to every morning. You've got to get up, be motivated, and get after it. And that's probably the biggest. You
don't even need to read them. You can listen to them now.
Yeah, podcasts
audio
or audiobooks.
Yeah, so getting some podcasts, like all these things. It's never been, we're in the information age right now. It's never been easier to get information. So if you didn't get it, you just got to look, because it's out there. And it's just waiting for you to find it.
Yeah, man. Action is better than no action. So
that's what it is. Just putting it in gear. Like I've said to all my guys, I'm like, I could give you the keys to the Ferrari, but if you don't put the keys in the ignition, turn it on, put that sucker in drive and hit that gas pedal, it's just going to be a beautiful car. You're going to sit there doing nothing. And what a waste that would be. This car's meant to be driven on a racetrack. So get it up and get it going. And that's the action. You got to do it. So.
Thank you. I'll let Earl take over now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can write a book right now listening to you guys.
Well, that's
there you go.
I love it.
Maybe you start a blog and it's talking about real estate. And
one of the things we were just listening to, it said one of the best ways is to get with somebody who is doing something more than you are right now, and then just rewrite what you talked about and share that. And oh my gosh, you're just going to start, blowing up, and things are just going to keep coming at you.
And all of you guys are already on a great path.
Oh, yeah.
We know that from day one. You guys are all on a great path. You just got to keep on chugging. And I will promise you, there are going to be times where you're going to want to quit. There's going to be times where you want to just throw it out and say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going back to my job. But I will guarantee you, and I will promise you, you guys are on the right path. If no matter what, you just stay true to that and don't quit no matter what. That's the best advice. Find out what it is you want and make it happen. And don't quit no matter what, because there's been so many times that I've wanted to quit at whatever I was doing, and I'd kick myself in the butt, or she would do it for me, and that's how things happen. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight, so it doesn't seem like you're getting anywhere, but one day at a time. Everything's done one day at a time. So no matter what, you guys have a great team. Just don't quit. Just keep going. And it could be the very next day that you quit where, man, that deal was waiting for you. It could be that close. You never know. You never know. So, but 20 years later, I figured I've been doing this now full time for 5 months, and I've seen what we've done already in this last 5 months. It's gone just skyrocketing. If I did this full time for the last 20 years, I mean, I would be having a private jet by now.
Yeah.
So just start and don't quit.
I have goosebumps literally going down my spine right now.
Yeah.
You guys provided so much value. It's amazing. And Jen, I'll tell you, being an educator like you, I really feel so good that we can actually make a difference outside of the classroom. Because I think there's a lot of people out there that, have kind of gone the traditional route, gotten a job, the 40-40 plan, we know what it is. And at the end of the day, they find themselves, looking at a podcast or reading a book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and saying there's so much more to life. I just don't know if I can do it. And we're literally, putting this information out because we want you guys, and we want people to see these guys bet on themselves and they made it. And so this is super awesome. We really appreciate you guys so much.
Well, you know what? And it's been an honor and a privilege to be on here. And I will tell you, when I moved out of my parents' house when I was 18 years old, I had an apartment on St. Paul, right next to Clifford. And it was like in this tiny little, it was a studio apartment. And I had lost my job because the company went bankrupt overnight. I never even knew how to file for unemployment, so I didn't. And there was a point where I had $17 to my name, like my spare change that was in my car, and the $5 I had in my pocket. When I got all my money together, my parents were all angry because I didn't go to college, so we weren't really on best of terms. And I knew at that point in my life, it was do or die. I was at a crossroad where I'm like, either I'm going to go into the gutter or I'm going to raise out of this thing, and I'm not going to let it change who I am. I'm going to change it in the right direction. And so when I say nobody's been as poor as I have, I lived in hotels for years. I slept outside in a tent made out of sleeping bags, or garbage bags. So without a college education and without doing the traditional route that my parents probably preferred I went on to, you can have very great success. And real estate is a blessing because it not only is a success for me, but all the other people that we're helping along the way on the buyers and on the seller side, because we're also creating their success. We're helping them achieve what they're trying to achieve. So it's a great thing that I could get paid to do what I love to do. It's amazing. So, and then, giving back when, my greatest gift I want to do is give back and teach what I've been taught and help other people and not be the only guy. And I always thought this before a long time ago. I don't want to be the only guy who's got like a really cool car. Like I want all my friends to have cool cars too. So we could all like go racing or show them off or, do that together. It's not just about one person. So bring everybody that you can with you and turn it into a celebration. So, and that's why when you have those successes, it's when you're been as, like I said, as broke as I have, my apartment got robbed when I was away for 2 weeks for training. And I got back from a drive from Texas to here. And I got back at 11:30 at night after driving straight through and my apartment was empty. They took everything I had. So like the little bit I did have, it all got robbed from me. And the only thing I had to my name was 2 weeks worth of clothes and a junky car. And I made it. So anybody could do it. I promise. Anybody could do it. Just don't quit. Just believe in yourself. It doesn't matter what your education level is. It's all about what you got up here. Or more important, what you got in here.
Too.
But you got to be a thinker.
Yeah.
Maybe school wasn't your thing, but you could think of doing another business. You always hear about it. So it could be true.
All right, so Kivo, any closing words, my friend?
Nope, I think it's all well said, wrapped up. I'm just waiting for the information so I could be the first student in the class. I'm hungry for knowledge, extremely hungry, especially on the financial end, because that's one thing they don't teach in our city school district is financial literacy. So everything I've learned by going backwards a little bit, then making a little bit more money, then going backwards. So I know that story all too well myself, Joe. So I love to learn.
Believe me, I had my car repossessed at a young age. I've gone through the absolute, it was due to my illness. I spent the time in the hospital. I didn't have a job for months after. I just turned 21. I was admitted like 3 days before my 21st birthday. So all my friends on their 21st birthdays were going out and having a great time. I'm in Boston in a hospital bed, listening to the guy I'm sharing the room with who he's coughing the whole time too. So, my definitely life experience has been a lot different than your average. But I wouldn't change it for the world.
Right.
Change it for the world.
Yeah, thank you.
So yes, I will definitely be glad to share that with you guys.
As soon as it's up and running.
My first and foremost, I want to make sure it's done right.
Right.
And I want to set it all up the right way. But I would say by this fall, it's going to be, my goal is by October.
All right.
So I was a little early to talk about it now, but it's exciting and I'm pumped. So it's hard to.
Well, Joe, I was on your Facebook post and I heard about it and I got super excited. So I knew I was going to ask you about it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, no, I'm excited for it too. But once again, we've had so many people around the country reaching out to us for such a long time. For years now, like, can you please tell me about it? I'm like, well, man, it's a lot to explain to you. And then we've been talking about for a while that I should be like figuring a way that we can do this. But it's going to be a lot of time involved on my end and want to make sure that we're setting everybody up the right way and giving you all the wealth of knowledge and to build tremendous value in there for everybody is going to be key, because like any other education, you can't go to any grade or any school and learn something in a month and be done with your education. It's got to be a continuing thing. One thing that I do is I get laser focused on one area and I want to be the best at that area. And there's other people who do wonderful things in other sections. Great. I hope they kill that area. This is what I like to do. And I want to be dominant in this area. And that's how I figure out the game plan around that. And that's where I love to do that. So that's based on the education, based on my knowledge and, obviously what I can share. So yeah, I can't wait to get it going and share it with you guys. And she's going to be on there. It's going to be both of us for sure. Joe Cash Flows is the name of it, but it's going to definitely be us going over, how we got to where we were, learn the hard ways, learn the ways where we had all these properties and we're making very little money. It looked great, but the cash flow thing was the issue. In any business, cash flow will kill your business if you don't have enough of it. So then once we realized, if you guys just saw the check we just got 2 days ago and the one we're going to be picking up tomorrow, holy cow, it's awesome. So it's the cash flow part of it, which is great. And this is where you need to figure out how to get that in your business and how to get that cash flow up. And that's what we're going to go over, different strategies that will specialize in that. Because once again, you could own all the properties in the world, but if you don't have any cash flow, then what are you doing it for? Don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
Love it. I love it. So again, guys, if you've gotten any value, any content, give us a like, give us a share. What I basically have always said that, you know, there's go getters and then there's go givers. And you guys are definitely go givers. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah,
no, I love that. Thank you.
No, absolutely. It's been, like I said, it's been an honor and privilege being on here with you guys. And, you know, obviously look forward to talking with you more about it.
All right. All right. So with that, a Facebook and YouTube family, Real Housing Solutions, revitalizing the community, one property at a time. Take care, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
See you. Thank you very much.